first introduced to poetry in high school when they forced you to study poetry and analyze the poem and try to figure out what the poet was thinking or what the poet wants you to be thinking, and it was all just so horrible. I hated poetry for all 5 years of high school, all of it. I still don't really like poetry, and when I saw Poetics class, I was like, seriously? A course on all poetry? So for my favorite poem project, I chose a poem called Theme for English B by Langston Hughes. And this poem would be my favorite poem, only because I can make sense of it, and only because I feel like I can relate to it. Langston Hughes, Theme for English B. The instructor said, "Go home and write a page tonight, and let that page come out of you. Then it will be true." I wonder if it's that simple. I am 22, colored, born in Winston-Salem. I went to school there, then Durham, then here to this college on the hill above Harlem. I am the only colored student in my class. The steps from the hill lead down into Harlem, through a park, then I cross St. Nicholas, 8th Avenue, 7th, and come to the Y, the Harlem branch Y, where I take the elevator up to my room, sit down, and write this page. It's not easy to know what is true for you or for me at 22, my age, but I guess I'm what I feel and see and hear. Harlem, I hear you. Hear you, hear me. We two, you, me, talk on this page. I hear New York too. Me, food. Well, I like to eat, sleep, drink, and be in love. I like to work, read, learn, and understand life. I like a pipe for a Christmas present, or records. Bessie, Bop, Bach. I guess being colored doesn't make me not like the same things other folks like, who are other races. So will my page be colored that I write? Being me, it will not be white, but it will be a part of you, instructor. You are white, yet a part of me, as I am part of you. That's American. Sometimes, perhaps, you don't want to be a part of me, nor do I often want to be a part of you, but we are. That's true. As I learn from you, I guess you learn from me. Although you're older and white, and somewhat more free, this is my page for English B. So, as soon as Hughes starts the poem, he starts with, "The instructor said, go home and write a page tonight, and let that page come out of you. Then it will be true." This first stanza speaks to me because in everything we study seems to say that poetry should be what you feel, and poetry should be what comes from you. And the fact that he starts off the poem saying, let that page come, with the instructor saying, let that page come out of you, and then it will be true, relates to the point that something can only be true if it is truly you. In the second stanza, Hughes describes the route he takes to get from school to home, and he also gives a bit of background on where he lives and where he has lived before. And as he goes on to describe the places he's been in life and what he's seen, I'm kind of forced to think about where I've been in life and what I've seen and what's brought me here in comparison to what has brought Hughes to where he is. And when he says, I went to school there, then Durham, then here to this college on the hill above Harlem, I am the only colored student in my class. What? Third stanza, he says, but I guess I'm what I feel and see and hear. Harlem, I hear you. Hear you, hear me. We two, you, me, talk on this page. I hear New York too. Me, who. In this stanza, he talks about what can only be true to someone who's experiencing it. I believe that what is true is what I feel and what I see and what I hear. So it makes sense for him to believe that what he feels and sees and hears is what is true. And then he goes on to speak out to Harlem, and he says, Harlem, I hear you. This has me think that he relates to the people around him, the people that are living around him. They all somewhat share the same background. Does this mean his living condition is horrible? Does this mean that it's not so horrible? I don't really know. And then he mentions New York. And that sort of extends the people he is reaching out to, or the people that he can relate to. All of this still being true to him. And in the final stanza, he captures what, in essence, is truth to him. And he says, so will my page be colored that I write? Being me, it will not be white, but it will be a part of you, instructor. You are white, yet a part of me, as I am part of you. That's American. Sometimes perhaps you don't want to be a part of me, nor do I often want to be a part of you, but we are. That's true. Him and his instructor are bound to each other simply because they're both human. And though Hughes is different from his instructor, partly because he had to deal with the hardships of being black at the time, what makes them a part of each other is that the instructor being in his life at this point in his life is significant because that's what is true to him. Being a part of someone else is what humanity is. We're all somehow a part of each other, whether it be because you sit next to me in a class or because I accidentally bump you in the hallway. People affect the people around them. And in this poem, Hughes' instructor affects him because he or she is the one who causes him to think about the truth around him. Being a part of someone else is all you can really be sure of. You can't be sure that what you see or what you hear is what really is, but you can be sure that, oh, once I met this person, and this person has done this for my life. For Hughes, it's the instructor, and the instructor might not even know, but it feels like this instructor has caused Hughes to look at his life in a different light. Instead of looking at it as him always being on the outside looking in, or isolated and alone, yet in a community, he acknowledges that he is a part of someone else or a part of something else, and that really is what humanity is.